I was thinking, what would happen if Jesus not just came back, but if he came back and was like on Twitter and was vocal and stuff? And I was like, I think he'd get banned.
Easily,
I
easily.
was like, I think he'd get banned. I think he'd be labeled an extremist, and I think he'd be labeled with the whole dangerous figure. I mean, he'd be either literally or metaphorically crucified again.
Oh, bro, he would be literally on the list of the ADL, and I don't even think Elon would let Jesus back on Twitter. Listen, I read the Bible a lot, and this make believe Jesus that people try to act like is in the Bible, he ain't there. The real Jesus of the Bible is very blunt and very vocal, and it's why they got him in the first place. And yeah, if he was back, bro, he'll be one of the most persecuted. He'll be banned from countries. I mean, I know that because a lot of Bible believing people, I've watched them get banned from countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, and then you got to think about it, bro. The way we view morality is a little different than how they view morality in biblical times. The punishments were a little different, even when Jesus, during his reign, during him like telling people what was going on, the punishments were a little different back then. So just imagine him calling for some of them punishments. Listen, man, the Jesus of the Bible, I mean, listen, persecution come with it. You literally get bad. A lot of people think, let me tell you something, bro. My merch company I'm with, right? My merch company, I have the same merch company as the Hodge twins. And Joe Patrick and a few other ones. And I remember I had to meet with them because Facebook had blocked me from doing ads. And that's the merch, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I had to meet with them because they talk to Facebook. This like the company I work with, they're like I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. They're like a top company. Like they got direct connection with Facebook. And I had a meeting with them because they have had issues with Facebook before with High Twins and Joe Patrick's, but they were always able to get everything situated. With me, they couldn't. And I had to meet with them. And since I'm less popular than High Twins and Joe Patrick, it was real crazy. They said it's not my political stuff. They said it's the religious stuff that's pretty much the line. Like I crossed the line. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just shows you that being a conservative or having a conservative belief system, that can get you banned, but that's not the true people that they don't want on their platforms. It's really Christians, Bible believing Christians who are really not allowed to spew their beliefs. The only reason conservatives get in the crossfire because a lot of conservative beliefs, people don't even understand how closely related they are to biblical beliefs. And it's a very interesting thing, man.
What do you think has played out over the past few decades? Because something that surprises me in the West, of course, I'm from the UK, but I spend more time in the US than I do in the UK now. I was in Australia recently, but I travel a lot. I've been to a lot of different countries, spend a lot of time in the Middle East. That's where I grew up. And something that's struck me is just in our own relatively short lifetimes, how much society and culture and as a result of that, politics has shifted. I mean, if you were to just go back a couple decades ago in the same countries, I'm not talking about in the Middle East, I'm talking about in the USA, in the UK, in Europe, and so on, when things were just more, if you want to use the term, conservative, I don't think that much of what you say or believe would be classified as remotely radical or far right or extreme or intolerable. In fact, a lot of the stuff that you question and a lot of the stuff that we combat, in fact, especially with some of the ideology that's being pushed out there and some of the ideas, that's the stuff that would have been considered radical and far beyond the pale and completely outside the Overton window. So it seems like in a matter of a couple decades, you've managed to shift the Overton window to such a stage that if somebody just stays still, and even a lot of liberal people have said this, by the way, people who are what I call sane liberals, right, who aren't super woke progressives, they've just stood still and then everything else shifts and they're finding themselves more aligned with conservatives now. How do you think that's played out?
I've watched it, bro. I was my dad found my old files of my music I made in high school, and I found it interesting, right? Like the rap group I was in, how many times we dropped the British cigarette bomb in them songs.
Yeah.
and how normal it was. It wasn't even taboo. And then it made me sit here and think, bro, the stuff I'm saying now, I've always said it, and it wasn't taboo. Matter of fact, this was mainstream. Like the things people call me radical for now was literally mainstream. You said a couple of decades, bro. I'm talking about 10, 11, 12 years ago. And it's funny because I used to write blogs. I used to write blogs when I was talking to somebody about this earlier. I remember when the LGBT first started boycotting Chick-fil-A. I watched it with my own two eyes. And the reason why is because one of the presidents of Chick-fil-A, they asked him for his opinion on same-sex marriage, and he said he opposed it. And that was enough for them to boycott. It wasn't about he didn't decline to serve a gay person or anything like that. He disagreed with same-sex marriage, which is honestly the common thing amongst Christians. And they boycotted him. I remember this when I used to write blogs about it. When I was lukewarm, I used to be like, listen, I need to do better at following God, but this is clearly against the Bible. How are y'all boycotting somebody for simply having a different opinion, but y'all are saying they're the ones that's intolerant? That is oxymoronic in nature. And even I was predicting things in the blog post, but even I couldn't predict what we're watching today. I promise you. Like, if you would ask me to guess 100 different things of what would have happened, I would not have guessed it'll went this far. And I was radical then too. So to watch it play out, bro, it's kind of scary of that shift. And I wonder if this, you travel to more places than me, so I wonder if this shift has happened in the Middle East. Like, is it the same sharp shift? Because I don't think so.